The Human Relic Hunter, a HFY Reddit story, Chapter 1. In the far reaches of the galaxy, where stars painted the void with luminous strokes, humanity had carved a reputation for itself, not as conquerors or warriors, but as explorers. They were scavengers of the forgotten, historians of the forsaken, and seekers of the untold. Among them was a man named Elias Vance, known throughout the galactic rim as the Relic Hunter. Elias wasn't just any relic hunter. He had a knack for unearthing treasures others deemed impossible to find. With a battered starship called the Odyssey and an AI companion, Lyra, he traveled the galaxy in search of artifacts from ancient civilizations. His work wasn't just about profit, it was about preserving the stories of those who came before. The soft hum of the Odyssey's engines filled the cockpit as Elias scanned the holomap. A holographic display showed the coordinates of a planet deep in the Andarian expanse, a system few dared to venture into. The target, Theron-7, a desolate world rumored to house the remnants of a forgotten alien empire. Lyra, what do we know about Theron-7? Elias asked, leaning back in his chair. Lyra's voice, smooth and slightly teasing, responded, Theron-7, atmospheric conditions, barely breathable, surface temperature, cold enough to freeze your guts. Oh, and let's not forget the electromagnetic storms that could fry the Odyssey's systems. Charming place. Elias smirked. Sounds like a vacation spot. You have an odd definition of vacation, Lyra retorted. What exactly are we looking for this time? He tapped a button, and an image of an ancient artifact appeared, a metallic sphere riched with symbols no one had ever deciphered. The Erindra sphere, said to be a key to unlocking an entire archive of knowledge from the Erindran civilization. If the rumors are true, this could be the find of a lifetime. Or it could be a wild goose chase, Lyra replied. Again. Elias shrugged. The best treasure hunts always are. Landing on Theron-7 was no easy feat. The planet greeted them with roaring winds and electrical discharges that lit up the sky like fireworks. Elias donned his exosuit, the HUD displaying vital stats as he stepped onto the frozen ground. The terrain was barren, a wasteland of jagged rocks and frozen ridges. Keep an eye on the weather patterns, Lyra. I'd rather not end up as an ice sculpture. Noted. Try not to die out there. Elias trudged forward, his boots crunching against the icy surface. The scanner in his hand pinged faintly, leading him toward a canyon. As he descended, the wind lessened, and the scanner's signal grew stronger. At the bottom of the canyon lay the ruins of an ancient city. Towers of alien architecture jutted out at odd angles, their surfaces covered in frost. Elias moved cautiously, his eyes scanning for signs of danger. Looks abandoned, Lyra commented through the calms, but that's never stopped something nasty from lurking in the shadows. Thanks for the pep talk, Elias muttered. He approached what appeared to be a central structure, a massive dome with a fractured entrance. The scanner's signal spiked. Inside, the air was still, and the temperature slightly warmer. The walls were adorned with murals depicting scenes of the Erindran people, tall, ethereal beings with elongated limbs and glowing eyes. At the center of the room, on a pedestal, sat the Erindra sphere. Elias approached, his heart pounding. The artifact seemed to pulse faintly, as if aware of his presence. He reached out, his gloves brushing against the cold surface. The moment his fingers made contact, the sphere came to life. Symbols lit up, casting the room in a golden glow. A low hum reverberated through the chamber. Elias, something's happening, Lyra warned. Energy readings are off the charts. Before he could respond, the ground shook, cracks spiderwebbed across the floor as a deep, guttural roar echoed from the shadows. Of course, Elias muttered, it's never easy. He grabbed the sphere and bolted for the exit, the roar growing louder. Behind him, a massive creature emerged, an amalgamation of metal and organic matter, its eyes glowing with malevolence. Elias, move, that thing's going to tear you apart, Lyra shouted. Dodging rubble and blasts of energy from the creature, Elias sprinted toward the Odyssey. His pulse pounded in his ears as the ship came into view. The boarding ramp lowered, and he leapt inside just as Lyra engaged the thrusters. The ship lifted off, the creature's roar fading as they broke through the atmosphere. Back in the cockpit, Elias placed the sphere on the console, breathing heavily. Another day, another near-death experience, Lyra quipped. Elias chuckled, wiping sweat from his brow. All in a day's work. As the stars stretched into lines with the jump to hyperspace, Elias stared at the artifact, wondering what secrets it held, and what dangers lay ahead in unlocking them. To be continued. The Human Relic Hunter, a HFY Reddit story, Chapter 2. Elias leaned back in the pilot's seat, staring at the Sphere on the console. The artifact's faint glow cast rippling patterns of golden light across the walls of the Odyssey's cockpit. Lyra's voice broke the silence. "Well, we didn't get blown up, crushed, or eaten. I'd call that a win." "Barely," Elias muttered, rubbing the back of his neck. "What's your read on this thing?" "It's definitely active, but no one's been able to make sense of the Erendran language." Lyra's holographic avatar flickered to life, a sleek, humanoid figure with glowing blue eyes. She leaned over the sphere, scanning it with a shimmering grid of light. "It's emitting low-frequency energy signals, similar to ancient databanks we've encountered. If this thing is what the rumors claim, it could be a key, but to what, exactly, is still a mystery." Elias tapped his fingers against the console. "A key doesn't do much without a lock." Lyra smirked. "And when has that ever stopped you? Face it, you're going to dive headfirst into this, consequences be damned." "Damn right," Elias said with a grin. "Plot us a course to the archive station at Caltries. If anyone has resources on Erendran tech, it's them." Lyra nodded. "Course set. It's a week's journey through slipspace, plenty of time for you to recover from nearly getting squished by that walking junk pile." Elias groaned. "I swear, one of these days, I'm retiring to a quiet planet, just me, a hammock, and a sunrise." "I'll believe it when I see it," Lyra teased. The journey to Caltries was uneventful, giving Elias time to study the Erendra sphere. Despite hours of analysis, he made little progress. The artifact resisted his attempts to interface with it, the symbols shifting as though alive. "Whatever this thing is," he muttered to himself, "it's not giving up its secrets easily." As they approached Caltries, the archive station came into view, a massive orbital facility surrounded by bustling traffic. The station's architecture was an eclectic mix of alien designs, reflecting the various species that frequented it. "Welcome to Caltries," Lyra announced, "the galaxy's largest repository of knowledge, and the second largest den of thieves." "Let's hope the librarians don't try to pick my pockets," Elias replied. After docking, Elias stowed the sphere in a secure case and made his way into the station. The air inside was warm and faintly perfumed, a stark contrast to the icy wasteland of Theron -7. The central hall of the archive station was a marvel, a vast chamber filled with towering shelves, holographic displays, and scholars from across the galaxy. Elias headed straight for a contact he trusted, an alien named Thren, whose expertise in ancient tech was unrivaled. Thren was a Kralian, his four eyes glinting as he examined the sphere. His elongated fingers traced the symbols with care. "This is genuine," Thren said, his voice a low rasp. "Erendran artifacts are exceedingly rare, and this is exceptional." "Can you decipher it?" Elias asked. Thren shook his head. "The Erendran language remains a mystery, but I can confirm this is a key. The energy signature suggests it interfaces with something far older." "Do you have any idea what that something might be?" Thren hesitated, his eyes narrowing. "Legends speak of an Erendran vault, a repository of their greatest knowledge. If the sphere is a key, it may lead you there, but be warned, such knowledge is not without peril." Elias smirked. "When is it ever?" Thren handed the sphere back. "The vault's location is lost to history, but some believe it lies in the Umbral sector. Few who ventured there return." "Sounds like my kind of place," Elias said, tucking the sphere back into its case. "Thanks, Thren." "Good luck, Relic Hunter," Thren said gravely. "You'll need it." Back aboard the Odyssey, Elias set a course for the Umbral sector. "So, you're really doing this," Lyra said, her tone both exasperated and amused. "Wouldn't miss it for the galaxy," Elias replied. As the ship jumped into slipspace, Elias stared at the sphere, feeling a mix of excitement and unease. The vault of the Erendrans awaited, and with it, answers, dangers, and perhaps the discovery of a lifetime. To be continued. The Human Relic Hunter, a HFY Reddit story, Chapter 3, The Umbral Sector, a part of the galaxy so cloaked in mystery and danger that even the most seasoned travelers avoided it. It was a region of dead stars, gravitational anomalies, and whispers of ships vanishing without a trace. Naturally, it was Elias Vance's next destination. The Odyssey emerged from slipspace into a region of dim starlight and swirling, fragmented debris. The navigation systems immediately threw up warning alerts, the display flickering as Lyra worked to stabilize the ship's readings. "This place is a mess," Lyra said, her voice tinged with irritation. "Gravitational fluxes, electromagnetic interference, it's like the laws of physics took a day off here." "And yet," Elias said, peering out the viewport, "there's something beautiful about it." Lyra's holographic form materialized beside him, crossing her arms. "Your definition of beautiful seems to involve a high probability of death. Where's the fun without a little risk?" Elias grinned and adjusted his course. The Erindra sphere rested on the console, its glow slightly brighter now, as though it recognized its proximity to something important. "The sphere's energy output has increased," Lyra noted. "Whatever it's keyed to might be close, or it could be leading us straight into a trap." "Optimism, Lyra, remember that?" Elias said, setting a waypoint for the coordinates the sphere seemed to be pointing toward. "I was programmed with logic, not blind faith." Elias chuckled, but his focus quickly returned to the navigation. The closer they got to the sphere's indicated location, the more volatile the space around them became. Hours later, the Odyssey arrived at its destination, a massive structure floating in the void, partially obscured by a swirling cloud of debris and energy. The architecture was unmistakably Erindran. Towering spires and intricate, lattice-like structures glimmered faintly, though time and the harshness of space had left their scars. "Is that a station?" Elias asked, leaning forward. "More like a fortress," Lyra replied. "Massive energy readings, but they're unstable. Whatever powers that place is barely holding on." Elias brought the ship closer, maneuvering through the debris field with precision. The sphere's glow intensified, almost pulsing in rhythm with the energy emanating from the structure. "This is it," Elias said, his voice low with awe. "Wonderful, a haunted alien ruin in the middle of a galactic dead zone," Lyra said dryly. "You sure know how to pick 'em." "Docking protocols?" Elias asked, ignoring her sarcasm. "There's an intact bay on the western spire, I'll guide you in, but if the place decides to collapse on us, I reserve the right to say I told you so." Elias stepped out of the Odyssey into the docking bay, his exosuit's lights cutting through the eerie gloom. The air was thin but breathable, though the atmosphere carried a faint metallic tang. "Atmosphere's stable," Lyra said through his calms, "barely, don't rely on it for too long." Noted. Elias gripped his scanner and ventured deeper into the station. The architecture was breathtaking, high arches, alien murals, and faintly glowing conduits that hinted at the advanced technology of the Erindrans. The sphere in his hand pulsed, guiding him like a compass. "This place is a tomb," Lyra remarked. "No signs of life, but the energy signatures are strong. Something's still running here." Elias followed the sphere's guidance, descending into the depths of the fortress. He entered a massive chamber, the walls covered in intricate carvings that seemed to tell a story of ascension, power, and, finally, catastrophe. At the center of the room was a pedestal, and upon it, a console shaped like an elaborate latticework of metal and crystal. "The sphere fits there," Lyra said. Elias approached cautiously, placing the Erindra sphere into the console. The artifact locked into place, and the entire room came alive with light. Symbols danced across the walls, and the hum of energy grew louder. "Systems online," Lyra reported. "This isn't just a vault, it's a control center for something massive." Before Elias could respond, the room shuddered. A deep, resonant voice echoed in the chamber, not in words, but in raw, resonant emotion. It felt like a question. "What was that?" Elias asked, instinctively gripping his sidearm. "The system is responding to your presence," Lyra said. "It's scanning you." The carvings on the walls shifted, depicting humanity, fragile but resilient, a species born from struggle and determination. "It knows you're human," Lyra whispered. The console activated fully, and a holographic projection appeared in the center of the room. It showed a star map, with one point glowing brightly, a location deep within the umbral sector. Another destination? Elias muttered. Before he could analyze further, the station's energy levels spiked dangerously. Warning klaxons echoed through the halls. Elias, the structure is destabilizing, Lyra shouted. Elias grabbed the sphere and sprinted back toward the docking bay as the fortress began to collapse around him. Explosions rocked the corridors, and debris rained down, but he didn't stop. Diving into the Odyssey, he slammed the controls. Get us out of here, Lyra. The ship roared to life, shooting out of the station just as it imploded, sending shockwaves rippling through the void. Safe in hyperspace, Elias slumped in his chair, the Sphere glowing faintly beside him. That was too close, Lyra said, her hologram flickering into view. Yeah, Elias agreed, catching his breath, but we've got our next lead. Lyra crossed her arms. You're really not going to stop, are you? Elias grinned. Not a chance. To be continued. The Human Relic Hunter, a HFY Reddit story, Chapter 4. The glow of hyperspace bathed the Odyssey's cockpit in shifting hues of blue and white. Elias sat in the pilot's seat, staring at the Sphere. It had calmed since the fortress's collapse, its light steady now, as if it knew its purpose had yet to be fulfilled. Coordinates are locked, Lyra said. Her hologram flickered into existence on the dashboard, her expression uncharacteristically serious. We're heading deeper into the umbral sector, straight to whatever the sphere wants us to find. Elias leaned back, rubbing his temples. Any intel on this region? Lyra sighed. The umbral sector is barely mapped. Most ships don't come back. What little data we have mentions gravitational distortions, rogue stellar phenomena, and... She paused. And what? Elias prompted. Unexplained disappearances, Lyra admitted. Elias smirked. Sounds like my kind of adventure. Lyra gave him a look. One of these days, your curiosity is going to get us both killed. That's why I keep you around, Elias said, flashing her a grin. You're my safety net. Some safety net, Lyra muttered. 2 days later, the Odyssey dropped out of hyperspace, and the view outside made Elias's stomach churn. The space around them was unlike anything he'd ever seen. Fractured light, swirling clouds of dust, and massive, drifting fragments of what appeared to be shattered planets. It's beautiful, Elias said softly. Beautifully deadly, Lyra countered. Sensors are barely functioning, gravity is inconsistent, and the radiation levels are spiking intermittently. We can't stay here long. The Sphere began to pulse again, its glow brighter than ever. It directed Elias toward the heart of the chaos. There, Lyra said, highlighting a faint energy signature on the map. That's where the sphere's pointing. Whatever it is, it's emitting enough power to rival a small star. Elias adjusted course, threading the ship through the hazardous debris field. The controls fought him, but he managed to keep the Odyssey on track. As they approached the source of the energy signature, a structure began to emerge from the maelstrom. Unlike the ruined fortress, this one was intact, a massive, geometric construct of glowing metal and stone, radiating an almost tangible sense of power. Is that a Dyson sphere? Elias asked, his voice filled with awe. Lyra scanned it. No, it's smaller, more like a containment structure. Whatever's inside, it's alive. Alive? I'm picking up biosignatures, weak, but definitely there. Elias docked the ship near what appeared to be an entrance, a massive gateway adorned with intricate Arendran carvings. As the airlock hissed open, the sphere's glow intensified, illuminating the dim corridor beyond. Here we go, Elias said, stepping out of the Odyssey. The interior of the structure was unlike anything Elias had encountered. The walls seemed to shift subtly, as though alive, and the air was heavy with an energy that made his skin tingle. This place is ancient, Lyra said through the calms, but it's still operational. Be careful. The sphere pulsed, guiding Elias deeper into the structure. He passed through towering halls and chambers filled with strange, dormant machinery. The carvings on the walls told stories of the Arendrans, of their rise to power and their eventual fall. Finally, he reached a massive chamber. At its center was a platform, and on it lay something that made Elias stop in his tracks. A figure. It was humanoid, but unmistakably alien. Its body was sleek and elongated, with bioluminescent lines running along its dark, metallic skin. It lay motionless, its chest rising and falling faintly as though in deep stasis. "What is that?" Elias whispered. Lyra's voice was equally stunned. "I think it's an Erindran." The sphere floated from Elias's hand, moving toward the platform. It hovered above the figure, releasing a pulse of light that enveloped the chamber. The walls shimmered, and a deep, resonant voice echoed in Elias's mind. "Human, you have come." Elias froze. "Who? What are you?" The voice continued, its tone calm yet commanding. "We are the last, the keepers of knowledge, the guardians of what was and what must be again." Elias glanced at the figure on the platform. "You're alive, after all this time?" "Barely. Our kind faded long ago, but we preserved what we could. You hold the key to awakening what remains." The sphere pulsed again, and the platform beneath the figure began to shift. Machinery hummed to life, and the figure's eyes slowly opened, glowing with an otherworldly light. Elias took a cautious step back. What happens now?" The Erindran's voice filled the chamber, no longer confined to Elias's mind. "You have brought hope to a dying legacy, human, but with hope comes danger. The knowledge we guard is coveted by forces beyond your comprehension. You must decide, will you bear this burden?" Elias hesitated, his heart pounding. He thought of the dangers he'd faced, the ruins he'd explored, and the stories he'd uncovered. This was bigger than treasure or fame. "I'll do it," he said finally. "I'll protect your legacy." The Erindran inclined its head. "Then your journey is only beginning, Relic Hunter." The chamber's light flared, and the sphere returned to Elias's hand. The walls shifted, revealing new symbols and maps, pointing toward other secrets yet to be discovered. As the Odyssey left the structure, Elias stared at the star map displayed on his console. It showed destinations across the galaxy, each promising new challenges and discoveries. "Another day, another mystery," Elias muttered. Lyra's voice crackled in his ear. "You really are incapable of staying out of trouble, aren't you?" Elias grinned. "What can I say? It's what I live for." To be continued.